Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be breaking down this Friday slate, February 8th for NBA DFS. It's a little bit of a wacky slate because we had this trade deadline, a bunch of players being shaken up, going to different teams, lots of injuries coming out, lots of things after the trade deadline like Anthony Davis, what's his playing time going to be like. We're going to cover all that and more today. So if this is your first time to the channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Sal Vetri. I produce and create DFS content in the NFL, NBA, and will be the MLB seasons once that comes. So if that's something you're into and you get any value throughout this video, please hit that like button, and please do subscribe. I'm trying to grow my audience as much as I can and really make this little side hustle while I'm in college really potentially a career if we can get there. So I appreciate your support throughout. A couple of things I would like to shout out in this video is the first one is Next Level DFS. They're helping me build my Twitch stream, which is another thing I'd like to shout out. We're live right now broadcasting on Twitch so I can be more interactive and really get double the content out on double the platforms for you guys. So if you ever do want to jump into a live stream of mine, you can go down below in the description and you can just hit that follow button. You could hit the Twitch link and then it'll take you over to Twitch where you could follow me and just know when I'm live if you ever want to ask me questions. Next Level DFS, it's a Facebook group, it's a website. They provide information. And it's constant. They have a premium Facebook group, and it's just constant talk. It's actually really valuable. You get these types of sheets you're going to see in there all the time from tons of guys and girls, so it's awesome. So definitely check them out on Facebook. They're going to be linked up in the description below as well. You can check out their website. Just a lot of ways to save your research time by joining a group like that. So and that's it for right now. Again, if you have any or if you get any value from this video moving forward, I do appreciate your support. Drop down in the comments. Today we're going to be doing a giveaway for $5 PayPal. $5 PayPal, whatever that'll get you, it'll get you. But who will be the highest scoring power forward on the slate, points per dollar? So we're going to be doing points per dollar tonight, so you have to find that value play in there. You can't just pick the top guy who's projected, right? It's a little bit harder than just picking Giannis tonight. Who's going to be the highest scoring points per dollar? Whether you're on the stream tonight, you could hop over to YouTube, drop it in the comments below. You have to be a follower or a subscriber to join this contest and like the video. So that's all the housekeeping for today. For right now, we're going to get into this video. So we got a big thing today. We got a big injury dashboard. We got trades affecting this injury dashboard. People being moved. Tobias Harris to Philly. You have Jabari Parker, Otto Porter, and Bobby Portis switching teams. So a lot of things going on here. You have Tyler Johnson going to be starting today, which makes me think that a guy like Devin Booker is going to be out. So let's just run through this briefly. And we'll get on to the next step. So you can see this is one of the biggest injury dashboards, trade dashboards that I've had, probably the biggest. And there's some things that aren't on this table, and I can go over right now too. Fantasy Labs, like Brandon Knight, we just got news. He's not going to be on this, so I just want to let you guys know. Brandon Knight's not going to make his debut for the Cavs today. Marquise Chris will make his debut. I'll be completely honest, I don't know who Marquise Chris is. And we have updated in here that Kevin Love will be a game time decision. So some of the things to look at. Giannis, he's probable. Maybe he just got a little injury to the knee, but he's probable. Anthony Davis is probable, and I put trade because he's going to be playing out the rest of the year. We got the news, but it seems like he's going to be limited. He's not going to be playing in many, if any, back-to-backs. And it says that he's going to see reduction in minutes. So at $11,200, if you're going to get any type of reduction in minutes from this guy, he's just a little bit too expensive for that. So keep that in mind. Embiid is questionable, but it seems like he's going to be more towards probable with an illness. Devin Booker is questionable. I think he's actually very questionable because they already named Tyler Johnson a starter out there today and probably at the point guard position. Kevin Love, out of nowhere, becomes a game time decision. At least I haven't been keeping up with that. That's going to affect a guy like Ante Zizic, who's been getting those starts, potentially affect a guy like Larry Nance Jr. if he was going to slide into the starting five rotation because he has been playing a bit better than Zizic in his minutes. Tobias Harris probable from the trade, so is Boban. We don't have Boban or Mike Scott on this dashboard, but they're also probable today, going to be making their debuts. A couple of other big things to point out. Chris Middleton was ruled out last night. That's going to help a guy like Eric Bledsoe, Malcolm Brogdon. These guys are all the guys who are shooting three-pointers and just making absolutely everything and helping Giannis stay open and not get double-teamed in the paint. Tony Snell might actually draw the start as well. We'll have to watch that. Otto Porter, I have him as questionable. I'd imagine he's going to be making his debut today. We'll have to monitor this. Same goes for guys like Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker. So monitor that for sure. Cedi Osman ruled out again. I think that's a big beneficiary for Larry Nance Jr., who should find his way into the starting lineup soon. He's just been playing great off the bench, 29 minutes in the last game off the bench. David Nwaba, he should also, he's got 23 minutes when he was supposed to be limited. So the more work he gets, that should benefit him. Cedi Osman was one of the leading scorers on this Cavs team that just keeps turning over. The biggest thing, honestly, today, right now, the thing that I see is these Minnesota guards is something we've been dealing with for weeks, almost a month now. We get Jeff Teague, doubtful, or questionable. We have Derrick Rose, questionable. I think Teague's going to be the guy who likely plays here, just because he was from doubtful to questionable yesterday. They had a back-to-back. Maybe they're being safe with it. But now we have Jared Bayless, who's uncertain for today as well. So if by any chance all these guys are out, also Tyus Jones, literally the 4 guards for this team are all questionable. If somehow they're all out, Isaiah Canaan, who I think got 22 minutes of run or 20 minutes of run, he scored over a point per minute yesterday, becomes a pretty viable play at the minimum price. Now I don't think we'll actually get there. I think Teague does see a start in this one, just based on how close he was yesterday. But if all 4 of these guys do get ruled out, and if we do get that news, Isaiah Canaan probably becomes the very beneficiary of that, and he's going to probably be some good chalk to eat at minimum price. Some other things to point out: Karis LeVert is back. Karis LeVert, somebody I love, I believe, out of Michigan. He's going to be on a minutes limit, though. This is a guy who's averaging 32 fantasy points a game early in his career. $5,400 at 32 fantasy points a game for his average. You're going to take that. But again, minutes restriction. I don't think we have the exact minutes. I would imagine around 20. So not a play that I'm looking to play right now. If it gets up to 25 minutes on his minutes restriction, it's okay, but still not a play that I'm looking for. You're just capping that ceiling so much. You need the guys, if you really want to hit your ceiling, you need guys to be playing 30 plus points in cash, potentially if you get there, but again, not really looking forward to it. We do have some New Orleans news like we've been getting. We do have that Elfrid Payton's out. That's going to help Drew Holiday's ball handling abilities. It's going to help Frank Jackson potentially stay in the starting lineup. Guys like Tim Frazier at the point guard position who are cheap, still below 4K. Anthony Davis, like we said, is probable. We did have Julius Randle come back last game. He's going to be playing. So you have all these guys now who are value on the Pelicans for the past week or two, and they're slowly not going to become value anymore. E'Twaun Moore is a big one, though. So E'Twaun Moore is questionable. If E'Twaun Moore does remain out still, it's going to help still guys like Kendrick Williams. They've been starting in his place, getting his minutes. Darius Miller to an extent. So Williams is still viable at $5,000. It's just a lot less upside when you guys like Julius Randle entering the rotation, guys like Anthony Davis, even on a limited basis, entering the rotation. And who that's going to hurt a lot also is Drew Holiday. $9,200 Drew Holiday, and we'll get to this, doesn't seem like a great play today when you factor in the fact that even if he's limited, Anthony Davis should probably see 20 to 25 minutes. I don't know what his exact limit is, but that's what I would imagine. You have Julius Randle back in. You have 2 of these high-scoring, high-usage guys back in. And it just hurts Drew Holiday a little bit. Now, it doesn't make Drew Holiday a bad player in any regard. It just, in a vacuum, he's still a great player. But when you look outside of that vacuum and you see now he's $9,200 and he's priced the same as he was with 2 of these guys out, it makes him a lot harder to get up to and play just because the team's not all his. He's now not the best player on the team. He's probably the second best and competing now with the third best who's back. So it's tough to get there for me. Gary Harris is out. Jamal Murray is going to be probable. Gary Harris out helps Will Barton. It's going to help Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley took a hit, again, a small 1-game sample when Jamal Murray came back. But I think Will Barton is the biggest beneficiary of this. We'll have to see what the starting lineup looks like. Tyler Johnson, we mentioned, probable is going to be in the starting lineup, $4,300 on a slate where we do actually have a good amount of value as of right now, and I'm sure a lot more is going to open up because there are a lot of questionables you can see in game time decisions. So Tyler Johnson, decent value play at $4,300 for sure. Outside of that, we just have a bunch of the smaller guys down here. I am very interested in what happens with Kevin Love today. If Kevin Love is out, I think Larry Nance Jr. is a great play. They have an incredible matchup. Zizic becomes a decent play as well. If Kevin Love is in and we're not going to get any type of minutes restriction out of Kevin Love, I'm all for it. Kevin Love at $7,500 without a minutes restriction is a smash play for a guy whose ceiling is the 50-plus range and a guy whose average is around that 35 range, right? Double-double upside. Pretty much every night you can lock on it or bank on it. So definitely something that I'm monitoring. These Minnesota guards is something that I'm monitoring. And then obviously anything crazy that's going to be coming out after that. So this is the injury dashboard. It's a big one today. I'm just going to look to the chat quick. What's going on, Big Mo? How you doing? Good morning, Miss Buster. We got 18 people in this chat. That's the most that we've ever had on Twitch. Again, I think this is the 4th day that we're streaming. Again, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to get into this chat interactive, I'm going to be going live more and more as I figure out Twitch and just get into it. Maybe lives before lock will go live as well. So just hit this link in the description below. If you're still watching and you have any value, please do hit that like button. Please do hit the subscribe button. And if you're following right now on Twitch, or if you're watching on Twitch and you're not following, hit that little heart above. It helps me out a ton. So this is the injury dashboard. If you guys have any questions about it, you can see I bolded Drew Holiday's name here with Anthony Davis coming back, and that's because Drew Holiday is now just overpriced pretty grossly too. This guy should probably be $1,000 cheaper with Anthony Davis back, with a guy like Randall back. Jahlil Okafor, his run is probably up, and with Anthony Davis limited, you're still going to see Okafor, just not 30 plus minutes per game Okafor. So definitely something to keep in mind on. So impacted players, you guys can hit on all this, screenshot it all. I'll be posting these in the Facebook groups as well, and the chats for Next Level DFS. Make sure you get in there, link below. Back-to-backs tonight, just Minnesota. We had the 6-game slate last night, 8-game slate tonight, so only one back-to-back with Minnesota. Which is why I believe Jeff Teague should be starting today, since they held him out yesterday when he was upgraded from doubtful to questionable. Let's move on quickly to the Vegas dashboard, where we always spend a little bit of time. Get these out of here quickly. So this is filtered by highest over-under on the slate. I don't think all of these lines are live still, but these are when I saw them. I think some things are going to be factored in, like Tobias Harris coming into Philly. That might be factored in for some of these lines, but we have a ton of high totals today. 8 games. 6 of them 220 or above. I've mentioned before, I like targeting that 220 or above range and over-unders. Obviously, if you're new here, you're new watching DFS, you want to look at Vegas totals for games, because the higher the over-under means more points in that game, means more fantasy points in terms of scoring, in terms of rebounds, double-double, and triple-double, upside assists, just more fantasy points to go around. You can see a 233.5 over-under compared to a 206. Now, this doesn't mean this is going to be the exact score of the game, right? I mean, this is just projections based on Vegas, but Vegas is usually pretty good, and more so not even Vegas. A lot of people think Vegas is good at predicting these lines. Vegas puts out an initial line, which is usually pretty good, but the sharps in the industry, that's with a P, not sharks, sharps with a P, they are pretty good at closing that market, just like the stock market prices kind of equal out. That's what the sharps do. They go in and they change that line and they affect it, and they kind of get it to where it's solid. So Vegas is good, but the sharps are the ones that actually make these lines as good as they are. They force Vegas to kind of get there. So 233.5 compared to 206, I mean, you're looking at 25 plus points more in this game just in pure scoring. And obviously there's going to be rebounds, assists, probably a double-double somewhere in there for some player, maybe even a triple-double. So when you're looking at that, that's something to keep in mind. Don't totally fade lower total games, but we can see here Minnesota, New Orleans with Anthony Davis back going up against Karl Anthony Towns should be a good matchup, 233.5. Golden State's always going to generate a big matchup. Phoenix is a decent pace-up spot as well, 229.5 with a big spread. Spread obviously indicates where the score, how close these games are going to be, but they don't always indicate a blowout. This 14.5 could happen in the last 5 minutes of the game, and it doesn't really affect fantasy all too much. Denver and Philly 228.5. So you guys can obviously see here we have a lot of high totals. It becomes a very high scoring and a very fun slate, one where tournaments can be won by 400 points. I'll slide over to target offense now. As of right now, my favorite dashboard on this slate. I continue to try and add more in my free time and research more, reaching out to people as well. So if you guys know anybody who is pretty good at spreadsheets and just creating better spreadsheets in Excel and can help me out, I enter this manually every day, so it takes a little bit of time. I greatly would appreciate that. You could drop it in the YouTube comments. You could drop it on Twitch. It'd be awesome. J-Dot, what's going on? You said, what's going on, Sal? Good stuff as always. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Twitch Prime, Razzle D. Hey, Sal, do you talk multi-entries or focusing on cash plays? We got 20 people in here. Thank you. So I'm going to take that question actually quickly. So do you talk multi-entries or are you focusing on cash plays? So it's a little bit of both, right? In terms of this, it's just giving you the information to do all of it. When I get to my players of interest, I see NBA as cash and tournament plays are as close as they'll get in NBA than any other sport, I believe. NFL, you can have a very secure cash lineup that shouldn't be put in tournaments. NBA, your cash lineup can be put in tournaments, and you can compete, right? You're looking to get 300 plus in cash to really make a profit, and that's what you're looking for in tournaments as your average. So this is kind of all meshed into one. Sometimes I will point out guys who are better tournament plays, better cash plays, but for the most part, it's just looking at the slate early on overall. It's going to affect both, right? So like this page right here, defense versus defense in terms of Draftkings points allowed in the last 30 days, how good a team is at defending a specific position. This is going to help you whether you're building a cash or a tournament lineup. You want guys going up against bad defenses, right? I think that in the NBA, though, it's very, very close, your cash game lineup to your tournament lineups. Obviously, it's not going to be exact. There's situations where you want guys who have the safer minutes, the safer floor in there, but you also don't want to just be throwing dart plays into tournaments all the time, because those dart plays rarely hit, and that means you're rarely making any money. And when those dart plays do hit, they're not hitting for 50 plus points. They're hitting for maybe 25 to 30 if they're just a cheap punt. How much is that actually going to help you win tournaments? Not much. I think very much. I have entered my cash games into my tournament lineups. Multi-entry, I'm not a big fan of just max entering. It's something that I've never done. Multi-entry is something that I've done more so over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm kind of done with it at this point, just because I got a big win and I try to chase it wrongfully. So Stick to single entry, stick to 3-entry max, and I think those are very similar to what you're going to see out of your cash game lineups, especially in smaller fields. So it's a little bit of both. So we have a little bit of a dashboard here with projected game pace. You can see the higher the pace, the better. It means there's more possessions per team in the game. So that's what you're going to get right here. So per team's possessions, it's just factoring in each team's projected pace throughout the year, and then it takes the league average, which is 102.36, which is higher than the average over the past few years at 99.5, a lot higher. The game's becoming a lot quicker. A lot more early shots, a lot more fast breaks, just tons more possessions in these games, a lot more three-pointers just being shot, not a lot of clock being drained, working into the middle of the court, of the floor and backing guys down anymore. It's a lot more three-pointers being shot. People trying to keep up with the Warriors, the Rockets, things like that. Go with that type of game flow. So we can see the pace here. Whenever pace correlates with a high total, it's a pretty good spot to target. And then we have right next to it the spots to target against that defense. Now we have a guy in one of these Facebook groups. He's going to be reaching out. He's going to be actually going through, and I can post it in Facebook groups, and you can follow me on Twitter. So make sure you're following me on Twitter, whether you're in the Twitch chat right now or whether you're watching on YouTube. You get these updates throughout the day. He's going to be going through and putting the exact players who this rank benefits. So for New Orleans, their point guard, they're going up against Minnesota, who's defending the point guard or giving up the 28th, so the third most fantasy points over the past month. And he's going to go and he's going to put in here Frank Jackson. He's going to put in here Tim Frazier, so you guys can get a quicker look at it. Obviously, don't go just off of this. This is decent to look at, right? But you should break down deeper into the numbers. Are there any injuries that people are coming back that have been affecting this, or anything like that? So this is over the last 30 days. It gives you a more holistic look. It's going to slowly start to take into account these trades that are happening. I think it's a decent sized sample, and it's just going to continue to get more and more secure as we get further away from the trade deadline. So this is the target offense. It'll be up on Twitter. It'll be updated potentially throughout the day based on if we get that sheet from one of the fellas in the Facebook group. So I'm going to go over to the guards, and it's going to be a little bit different today. You can see it's a little spotty, and the reason that it's a little spotty is I was working through this, but I wanted to get this video out as early as I could for you guys on Twitch and for you guys on YouTube. I think the main thing that a lot of people like to look at is who the players of interest I have. In terms of value and usage, I can get that all out later on in the day as well on Twitter. So just make sure you're following me there. So I think Isaiah Cannon, and we could put Jeff Teague on here as well, because I think the more I think about it, the more I think he's actually going to be starting. I believe he's like 5,300. I don't know exactly on Draftkings. So Isaiah Cannon, minimum price. If for some reason these 4 other guards are out, they've just been depleted at the guard position, Isaiah Cannon becomes almost a lock for at $3,000. A guy who's going to probably see 30 minutes in this game. And at $3,000, if he's going to see 30 minutes, you take that all day. Especially when he's handling the point guard position, a position that we like to target in DFS, the point guard and center, because they just get way more usage than usual. Thanks, Al. Great stuff. No problem, Razzles. Love to start minutes limit. Love to start minutes limit. Who's your daddy? Oh, is that actually true? So we might have some breaking news as we're watching this. Kevin Love will start and have a minutes limit if he plays Friday. Okay, so we got breaking news from Fantasy Labs. Thank you in the chat. Who's your daddy? Or who's your daddy? I appreciate that. So Love's starting today. He has a minutes limit on him. So, I mean, off the top of my head, I want to know what that minutes limit is. Is it going to be 20 minutes or 25? That's a big difference for a guy like Love. Either way, I don't want any Love at $7,500. It definitely hurts Zizic. If Love, he is going to start, hurts Zizic. If Larry Nance is in the lineup at the 4, I'm fine with that, especially since Love is going to be limited. I think it's even more fine. Zizic is obviously the guy who takes the biggest hit from this. He's going to be losing his 30-plus minutes a game, 29-plus minutes a game to Love. So right now, not really interested in Love based on having a minutes limit. If it's going to be 20 minutes, that's pretty bad. 25, maybe some of you get him in your lineups. I'm not going there just based on his price. 25 minutes isn't going to get it done for me. So that's just a little hip fire for you guys. Justice Winslow, $5,500. Now with Tyler Johnson out there, I could imagine, and I fully see him running the point. $5,500, Justice Winslow. He's burned us all before, right? Every single time he seems like he's in a good spot, point guard position, good matchup like he has today, he burns you. But at $5,500, I'm close to going back to the well with this guy today. Thomas Satoransky, whenever he's in a good matchup, and he has the best matchup in terms of DraftKings points allowed over the last 30 days, the Cavs have given up the most. He's going to be going up against a guy like Colin Sexton, a guy like Jordan Clarkson, primarily Colin Sexton. Satoransky shows out. The only thing that worries me is they've been sitting Satoransky in the fourth quarter. The game that he went for, 40 points, 38 fantasy points, he didn't play like the last 8 minutes, and they've just been sitting him and limiting him, and there's really no reason why they've been doing that. They just said they've been trying to get him more rest, and not really sure why, but that's definitely something to be scared about if his minutes are going to be coming down. But $5,700, if we don't see those minutes get limited in the fourth quarter, and that was a close game too, it wasn't a blowout. If we don't see those minutes come down, very good spot for Satoransky. Luke Kennard, I'm probably not going to be playing him, but I'm struggling to find out. And I'll slide over to DraftKings quickly to see if we can find out. I'm struggling to find out where else these Detroit Pistons guards are going to be. We don't have Reggie Bullock there right now, so if we go over to Detroit and just shooting guards, I mean, it's Kennard, Galloway, probably more Galloway we're going to see than, I mean, Kennard gets more time, right? Yeah, Kennard's going to be getting more time in this game, so I'm struggling right now to see who's going to be filling in the minutes. I know that they, I believe, traded for somebody. Ish Smith. We do have injury status around Ish Smith, but he's primarily a point guard. I can't see them starting Ish Smith with Reggie Jackson. So we'll have to see what happens there. Not a big interest, just like I said, anything that pops into my head early on that I want to talk about, I put on here. Drew Holiday, we already talked about him, the 3 dots. He's way too expensive. I'm not interested in him. He's not on this player of interest because I want to play him. He's on there because he's in an interesting situation in that he's priced too high based on these guys coming back today, in my opinion. Still a good player, probably still decent in cash, but you're paying a premium for him that you shouldn't be paying anymore. Once again, I just want to point out that these aren't any types of picks. I'm not giving out picks. It's literally 10 o'clock in the morning. All these guys, or majority of them, might not even be viable. The whole slate can get switched up like we saw yesterday with Kawhi Leonard being out, and it was viable to play multiple Raptors. So don't go and make a lineup right now with these guys in there, because if you do, you're probably, and I can almost guarantee you're going to end up losing money because there's still so much time left in the day, and today's a very murky day in terms of trades and news and a lot of injuries. So just guys that are interesting early on to give you guys a setting in this quick half-hour show of what the slate looks like. Colin Sexton I like a lot. They shipped out Burks, who was taking up a lot of minutes, taking some of Sexton's minutes, but he's still a guy seeing around 30 minutes a game. And he's going to get the start today. He does have a good matchup, $4,500. The thing that worries me, in cash, I think he's fine. In tournaments, the thing that worries me is he just went off last game for 40-plus points. A lot of people are going to see that. They're going to see the low price. He's clearly a value on this slate. Potentially going to be giving him a little bit over ownership, and if he's going to be over owned, I'm going to probably be under owned on a guy like Colin Sexton, who that was his ceiling game. That was one of his best games he's ever had in his career. Not sure I want to chase that, thinking it's going to happen again the next game he goes out there. I'm fine chasing it if he's low owned, because I think he's in a good spot and he's cheap. But if he's going to be high owned, I think there's other places to go. Ben Simmons, $8,400. I put him on here because he's too cheap. The thing that scares me is now we have Tobias Harris there, a higher usage guy, a number 1 for the Clippers. Still can't believe they got rid of him, and they got, as of right now, nothing back. Again, I'm terrible at judging trades because you have to see what happens with the picks. But Colin Sexton or Ben Simmons, I think he's too cheap, but again, just the way this lineup is now, is he too cheap or is he actually expensive when we look at it through the long run with Tobias Harris starting out there? So somebody who's interesting to me today, Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon. I'll target both of them. They're the 3-point shooters. Chris Middleton out today. They're both going to get a couple more shots each. I like Brogdon a little bit better because he'll probably be handling the ball more. Eric Bledsoe, we'll actually have to see who starts at the point guard position, but Brogdon's $1,000 cheaper as well. I do like him a little bit better, but I think both are very viable. Jamal Murray, I think, is too cheap at $6,300. If he's going to come back in and be playing 33 minutes a game, point per minute guy on average, and when he's in a good matchup, which he doesn't have the greatest matchup today, but when he's in a decent or good matchup, he always has a ceiling. So $6,300 I think is too cheap. Hardaway Jr.'s price didn't come up at all after playing 26 minutes. No Barnes out there now. Should be the starting shooting guard for this team going forward, I would imagine, over Brunson. We'll have to see how that goes today. $4,900 is too cheap. Reggie Jackson at $5,600, I believe, is priced appropriately right now, but I wanted to put him on here because I think he's an interesting play because they don't have a lot of guard depth, so his minutes are pretty much secure. So for cash, Reggie Jackson's a pretty nice play. We'll move over to forward, and I'll try and attack these a little bit quicker for you guys. I'll look at the chat right now. Teague is 5,400. Thank you. Finally get to catch a show. Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Nick? What's going on, Redfish Nick? I appreciate you tuning in for the show. Good morning, brother. Good morning, Pithead. What's going on? Again, YouTube, if you guys want to join this Twitch live stream, we can be interactive. I'll be taking questions after I film for YouTube. Again, in the description below. Check it out. And if you're still watching to this point, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter. Hit the like button. I'm trying to give you guys as much value as I can here. So forwards, we'll knock him out really quick. Larry Nance Jr., like I said, he's in a great spot. Even with Kevin Love news now that he's limited in starting, Love's going to be at the 5. Larry Nance might not even start, but I don't really care if he doesn't. He got 29 minutes last game off the bench. He put up over 30 points again. 5,800, I think he's a very safe cash play. If he starts, he's a great play in any format. Lauri Markkanen, great play in any format. One of my favorite plays on the entire day. I'm interested to see what happens at the center position today. Robin Lopez, they're going to buy him out. Robin Lopez might not be on this team later today. I'm not sure if a lot of people know that, but there's rumors, and Woj tweeted this, that they're going to buy out Robin Lopez. They already shipped out Bobby Portis. They shipped out Jabari Parker. Who's going to start at the 5? I'm honestly not sure right now if Lopez doesn't play today. Markkanen, either way, he's going to start at the 4. If he starts at the 5 today, I believe, going up against Brooklyn, just like a glory hole for points right here. $7,000 is way too cheap for Markkanen. I love him in all formats. His price only came up like $100. I don't even think it changed after he just dropped another 40 burger. This guy's just incredible. He's becoming the best player on this team. Yes, better than a guy like Zach LaVine. So Markkanen's just sneaky good. Not a lot of people actually know about him. Definitely not the casual fan. Blake Griffin has the best matchup in terms of going up against the Knicks in the last 30 days, giving up the most points to the small forward position, $8,900. I love it. I think he's appropriately priced, but I love this a lot. Buddy Hield's a guy I've been following, and his price continues to go down, and he continues to just get his average, right? He hasn't had his ceiling game in about 3 or 4 games now. He hit on his average, just pretty much returning value for you, maybe a little bit less. Now his price comes down 100. I'm fine jumping on it. Draymond Green, always a guy that you're hit or miss on. Today I just put him in here because I think his price is interesting. Josh Jackson, we touched on LeVert, $5,300. I'm not going there with a minutes limit. Josh Jackson's the guy who sees a pretty big bump when we get a guy like Booker off the floor. Now, he's had limited minutes when Booker's off the floor and Ayton's in there, right? It's a smaller sample, but we saw last game he went for a 50 burger. I don't have Kelly Oubre on here, but keep him in mind. We're going to see increased ownership on Josh Jackson, and rightfully so. But Oubre is also a guy who has that 50-point burger upside. If he finds his way into the starting lineup, Warren's still out. I do like Oubre. Bobby Portis, Otto Porter. I'm interested in both of them. I just want to see what these starting lineups and playing time looks like. Andrew Wiggins, if you guys are joining the show late, earlier today, it kind of sucked a little bit. I mentioned how last night sucked. It was my worst 2v2 ever. Right before the game, I had Andrew Wiggins and Siakam in the game, and then I pulled Siakam out because I wanted to get up for $100 more. I wanted to get up to Ibaka. I thought he was the better play last night. And in hindsight, I still do think he was the better play. He was starting at the 5 position. I like guys starting at the center way more. If I could fit more centers into my lineup, I do every single time, especially if the value is and the projected points are pretty much the same, if not more, for Ibaka. But that forced me to come off of Andrew Wiggins and go down $100, and the next best option was Jared Bayless, his teammate, who's been seeing 30-plus minutes, who's been seeing insane usage and ball control in that offense. Ends up turning out that Bayless gets hurt, only scores 5 or 8 points. Ibaka only scores 20, and then the other way around, Wiggins goes for 42 and Siakam goes for 60. A 70-plus point difference instead of having a 325 points cash lineup last night. I end up having like a 335, and I literally end up winning like $5 in cash and $1 head-to-heads, $2 head-to-heads instead of a few $100. So awful last night, one of my worst. Did not help that I woke up today feeling sick. That made me sicker. Jimmy Butler, another guy just like Ben Simmons. I put the dots by his name because I'm interested to see what we get. He has a very good matchup today. I think he's underpriced, but what do we get with Tobias Harris there? I'm kind of holding my breath outside of Embiid on a lot of these guys today. Giannis 11-4, the only actual pay-up spot in terms of non-center guys that I'm looking at today. I still think he's a little bit too expensive based on the slate, but maybe late value will open. Trevor Ariza, I like. Mason Plumlee, 3 dots by his name, $5,400. They finally got his price up. Even if Millsap is out again, $5,400, he's now priced appropriately. Still a good play in cash, right? We get big usage, we get point per minutes out of this guy, but $5,400 is different than $4,400, different than $4,000 like it was the past 2 days. So keep that in mind. We're gonna go over to the center position. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments how'd you guys do last night. A reminder that for $5, enter into the YouTube comments below the contest for $5 PayPal. Who do you think is gonna be the best power forward position, points per dollar? Tonight on tonight's slate. $5, you have to be a follower, you have to be a subscriber, and like the video on YouTube. We're gonna get over to the center position. Again, I haven't filled out usage for this stuff. It's fairly simple. Once I do, I could post it on Twitter and things like that. Anthony Davis was originally, before we got this limited news, a guy that I was liking today, but with being limited, I'm off of him. We can kind of just put a little red dot by his name. I don't want Anthony Davis today at 11-2. If he's not gonna be getting 30-plus minutes a game, why am I paying that much money for him? DeAndre Jordan, I think, is a little bit underpriced. He's priced below his average right now. Again, a guy who really can't create his own offense, right? You need him to go double-double. You need him to get 12 to 15 rebounds for you. He's not going to get there for you on his own. He's not going to create his own shots, things like that. He needs people to work off of him. The benefit is that he does have his running partner, Dennis Smith Jr., out there with him, or not running partner, but a guy who's comfortable with him who can help him create those shots. $6,000 is a little too cheap. As you can see, I think paying up today based on all these guys I'm interested in at center, and Markkanen might be the center. If not, if Robin Lopez is still on this team, I mean, the guy got 20 points last game and he's still cheap. He becomes a little bit of an interest, more so in cash, doesn't really have that tournament ceiling. Jokic and Karl-Anthony Towns, both great plays today. Towns going to be going up against Anthony Davis a little bit tougher matchup, but I think $10,000, his price only comes up 100. I think he's still too cheap. Jokic at 10.4, his price really hasn't changed too much between 10.4 and 10.6. I think he's still in a good position today, going up against Embiid, who is questionable, so watch that. If Embiid somehow gets a late scratch, Jokic becomes an incredible play. I don't have Embiid on here. He could very easily be on here. I think a lot of these guys paying up-wise are in great spots. Andre Drummond against the Knicks, in a decent spot, but when we go to the target offense, you don't want to dive too deep into this number. If we go Detroit against the Knicks, it says they're 21, but they just got the DeAndre Jordan a couple days ago. So again, that's what I'm saying. Look at these numbers, but think about what's happening. DeAndre Jordan's a much better defender than 21 overall, so it's going to be a much tougher matchup for Andre Drummond today than this number depicts. So keep that in mind for sure. And that's about it. Robin Lopez, again, if you're just joining, $4,000. If he is still $4,000, I believe. Cash play maybe if he starts at center, but they're trying to buy out his contract. So if he's out, no Bobby Portis there, no Jabari Parker, Markkanen might start at the 5. He was beginning to get 5 minutes over the last 2 games, a couple of games. He starts at the 5. He's a smash play at $7,000 going up against Brooklyn today. $7,000. The guy really should be pricing the 85 to 9K range if that's the case. So that's it. We're going to go back to the injury dashboard for you guys to look at. Just what is happening injury news wise. I'm going to look at this chat real quick. I want to thank you guys for tuning in on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. If you made it all the way through the video and you're still watching this video, drop down in the comments below. Let me know you watched the entire video. I want to thank you personally, reach out to you. Follow me on Twitter. You can reach out to me there for any other questions that you have. I'll answer all your questions later in the day as much as I can. So I appreciate it. Best of luck tonight. A lot of news going on, so make sure you stay by the laptop. My name's Sal. Peace out, YouTube.